Hi, Tony.
Hello. Can you hear me?
And let's see, manage participants.
Let's see, I don't see you.
I need to put my video on. I have it. I just made you a co-host. And I'm putting my video on, but I'm about to walk away.
There you are.
Making another cup of coffee. You still in the office?
Oh yeah. We're on the, what is it, essential services list. So we're all here trying to get some money out the door.
Well, I figured you were working. Working and being at the office is two different things for me. So
yeah, no, we're learning that. We're not there yet. Everybody, we're capable of it right now, but we'll see how things evolve before we pull the trigger on that one.
So we are now recording. Good morning, everyone. I am Jen Bonet with the Creative Coast, and we are here today to talk with Tony O'Reilly from the SBAC, the Small Business Assistance Council or Corporation. And I'm going to start out with just asking him some questions. I know this is a critical time for all of us, but especially for small business owners and small are about 70% of the economy. And so the Creative Coast is wanting to support all of our entrepreneurs. So one of the things I thought of over the weekend was, how do we find out more about these disaster recovery loan programs that are coming out of the federal government? And first thing I did I emailed Tony over the weekend and said, hey, I got to talk to you about something. Can we chat on Monday? And so first thing Monday morning, reached out to him and said, hey, let's do this thing. Would you do a Zoom with me? And let's talk about the options that are available, and then let's open up for Q&A. So I've got everyone pretty much muted for now. We will unmute you. Since there's a large number of people in the area, in the group, I would love it if you could ask questions when we get to that in the chat bot. So I'll manage the chat and I'll actually ask the questions of Tony. But we're going to kick this thing off. So Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about SBAC, the organization first, and then the types of programs that you run in normal times, not disaster times.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to share what we're doing and get the word out about SBAC. So thank you, Jen, very much, and the Creative Coast. SBAC is a nonprofit organization. We are a licensed community development financial institution, which is part of the Department of Treasury. We're licensed by U.S. Small Business Administration to represent the bulk of their products that they deploy to small businesses across the country. We get funding from the city of Savannah. We manage their revolving loan fund. They've been very supportive over the years with their guarantee program, with their direct lending, and some incentive programs for redevelopment and low to moderate income job creation. We also borrow money from the USDA, Department of Agriculture. We don't make loans to farmers, but we do make loans to restaurants that are doing farm to table, those kinds of things. So we are on the enterprise end of Department of Agriculture. And so that's essentially the source. Oh, and the state over the years has provided us with called Small Business Credit Initiative dollars that we've converted to what we call SBA direct lending, where when the bank is not involved, we become involved. So in that sense, we are essentially an intermediary, but we do lend directly with our limited resources. As we said, we're a nonprofit, 501c3. We're governed by a board of directors, all volunteers from the business community or support community for small business. Our market essentially is footprint is 5 counties surrounding the city of Savannah, plus across the river, Beaufort, Hampton, and Jasper. Beyond that, because we are a program lender, some of those programs come with a territory defined, and in total, we can deploy small business dollars to 44 counties in Southeast Georgia. Volunteer board of directors, they govern. I'm staff, I'm the president, and we have, let's see, 12 other folks here at the Small Business Resource Center at 111 East Liberty Street. And then what we do is we're part of the Small Business Development, Economic Development Network. We view our role as the financial side. We have some really strong partners here in town. SCORE, who is in the building. They do great counseling, consulting for folks that want to start business, for existing businesses, for folks that want to get loan ready, and folks go down there. Mentors work with them, and they walk up the hall and see if we can figure out a way to get some funding into their ambitions. Also, we've got the Small Business Development Center, which we rely on quite a bit. They're an adjunct to SBA and University of Georgia, very sophisticated in the way they offer consulting and loan packaging and referral services and marketing consulting. I mean, very sophisticated over there, and the small business community is blessed to have our partners and us here. For a town our size, I think we've got some pretty strong network of small business assistance providers. So we fit in there, so like I said, what we do is loan programs. So our loan programs are essentially, they all start from the federal government. They come down, and our job is to eventually get the Fed money into the local community. And we do that through these programs. But we may get money from the city, we may get money from the state, but ultimately it starts in Washington, D.C. So in that sense, we're different from a bank because we have a layer of eligibility and regulations for all the programs. Then we're the same as a bank in that we underwrite and those kinds of things. The 12 different loan programs that we have are broken up into what those resources have as a priority. So the city of Savannah has the city of Savannah as a priority. They have low-income neighborhoods as a priority. They have commercial corridors that are depressed as a priority. And so if you're a business that's outside the city, you can't apply for it. You're not eligible. SBA, they make monies available for buying real estate up to $5.5 million. And then they make money available to us for microloans, $50,000 or less. So those programs are all defined. And you can go on the website and you can go to that grid, or you can just go to the website and take a look at all the different loan programs and see if there's something there that could address what you want to do. In general, that's what we do. We have a loan committee that makes the loan decisions. They're all volunteers from the banking community, from CPA community, from insurance, lawyers, anybody that supports small business and wants to be part of helping them gain access to capital. That's our role. That's our mission. And then the Department of Treasury, we borrow money from them. We get grant money from them. But for the most part, we're out there hunting and pecking, looking to bring in capital, especially now because we're getting a lot of requests for loan applications, as you can imagine.
Awesome, great overview. I love that one pager that you have with all the programs that are your kind of regular economic time programs, and I will share that on our website with this video link when all of this is over.
Thank you.
Tell me, Tony, how many applicants do you normally see in a year?
Well, we'll probably see somewhere between 60 and 100, you know, in a regular year. And when I say we'll see more than that, but that's generally what we believe. You know, our outcome is funding, so that's what I'm saying. 60 to 100 funding of loans. Now, those loans can range from $2,500 to $5.5 million. But we'll see 60 to 100 transactions and put them through our process and, you know, get the money out into the street. So that's a typical year. Lately, we've been you know, getting closer to the 100.
Yeah, he's 20 started. Probably been like 30 years, 25 or 30 years. Yeah, Tom's on the board. He's the one over all of it.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think that's Greg. But hi, Greg. So we're just kind of let's see. We want to. That's our normal thing. That's what we do. And then every now and then we'll boost that number because of a hurricane, of a street closure, like Broughton Street. One year, Broughton Street was closed, and before drainage, and you know, you couldn't drive up and down, and it turned into a pedestrian mall overnight kind of thing. So at that year, I think we actually put probably 22 loans on the street, you know, as quickly as we could for an interruption. And so those are the kinds of things we want to do. We want to create access to capital, especially in times of you know, hardship. Oh. I'm viewing Manny's.
Now I'm asking another question, but I was muting myself. So, and you said to me earlier today that you have 56 applications open right now?
Actually, we've just gone over 100. Just gone over 100.
That's in like 24 hours. You went from 56 to over 100.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you why. Actually, is because we were grouping them into different loan products based on what people were calling in for, and then we had a special number for COVID. But it turns out that everybody is really wants the COVID loan, and so we've got very few actual ordinary loans that we're processing now.
Okay. Well, let's get into the meat of this, right? So there's two different programs available right now, the SBAC Recovery Loan Program and the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Say those 10 times fast.
Yes, EIDL. SBA calls it EIDL, believe it or not.
I guess you are EIDL, huh? Why don't we start with the SBAC Recovery Loan Program? Why don't you give us an overview of that program?
Yeah, our COVID-19 loan is it's still evolving in terms of process, but essentially what it is as I've described, we're not a bank. We don't take deposits. We have very limited resources, and so our strategy is to be as responsive as possible to as many businesses as possible, and not sink the ship, so to speak, and not run out of money before before folks stop needing it. So what we've set up with the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, that's being put out there by SBA, which is disaster money that's been there in the budget. So it was easily deployed by the feds through SBA because that's one of the roles that they're appropriated for, is to respond to emergencies like hurricanes, like floods, those kinds of things. And so that money they were able to get up and running and flowing first. We're still waiting to see what the actual specific response to the COVID thing from the feds will be. And SBA is working very hard to design different ways of obtaining money. And this is a disaster loan, and we are trying to facilitate that process. One of the things that we've learned over the years is that SBA doesn't necessarily respond tomorrow. It's not immediate money. Very few money is immediate, but certainly SBA is a bit slower. So what we've done is our COVID loan is to loan up to $50,000 at 6% for 36 months as a bridge loan to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so what we're asking folks to do is think of this as a parallel process that they're applying to us, and then they're applying to SBA. We're going to help them apply to SBA as best we can, and try and get them through that process and and get in the queue. And in the meantime, we process ours, and then for $50,000, and our experience is that folks should get money, within, probably 3 months, something like that, from SBA. So that's essentially what it is in terms of criteria. We're emulating as much as we can the disaster loan injury, economic injury disaster loan, as much as we can. And we would like to have a receipt that you've applied for the disaster loan. And then we check we have to do all these things because all our money is fed. So we have regulations and things that we must comply with. So we check history, we check repayment ability, we check, make sure everybody's eligible. We follow their collateral guidelines. The collateral guidelines are at SBA is that SBA will take on loans over $25,000, they're required to take collateral. They'll take real estate when it's available, and but SBA will, and us, SBAC, will not decline a loan for lack of collateral, but it's required that borrowers pledge what they do have available. And then it's all processed from there once someone is approved to go through process, and hope you can get the money out the door.
Okay, unmuting myself. So think of this first loan, this Small Business Assistance Corporation's recovery loan, as a bridge loan while you're applying for the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program.
Yes, that's what we would like it to be. Now, case by case, obviously, there's some folks that are not eligible for the economic disaster loan, and that, for an example, let's see, we just put one out the door, which was a startup. As far as SBA is concerned, a startup is you got, in this particular program, you got to be in business at least 12 months. Otherwise, you're not eligible for it. So that's their define. That's the define of a startup, and they won't directly fund concept businesses. But we'll still do that if everything else falls in line with the criteria.
Awesome. Make sure I'm not muted. So talk a little bit more about the economic injury disaster loan program. Size, how do you apply?
Right.
All of that.
Well, you apply online. It doesn't go through a bank. It's an SBA loan, but it's not a bank loan. You have to go onto their website, and you have to fill out an electronic application, and it's up to $2 million. The rate for small business is 3.25 or 3.75, and the rate for nonprofits is 2.75. They can be amortized all the way up to 30 years, depending on the deal, and and that's pretty much and I just went through the underwriting criteria, and then you have to show that you've had some injury from the actual disaster that's being declared, and that's not too difficult these days. And so once you get in there, you're going to see they're going to ask you for a bunch of stuff. They say it's a 3-part process, and that's true. You get in, they determine that you're a legitimate business, that you're eligible business, that you're a small business, and then they're going to start asking you to start uploading stuff like your tax returns, filling out some SBA forms, and those kinds of things. I would tell you that SBAC, for a variety of reasons, one of them being to educate ourselves, has submitted one and received a receipt that we are in a queue. Okay, and it took us in front of the PC probably about 8 hours, because last night they closed it about 6 o'clock. They've reopened about 7. They closed it for maintenance because a lot of people are experiencing crashing. So we're getting a lot of calls. Am I on the right website? This and that, it keeps crashing on me, and this and that, the other. Our advice is to stick with it, and eventually you're going to get to the end of the process, and you'll get in the queue. The last time we sat down with SBA, they're telling us it's going to take 18 to 21 days to get an approval, and then another 30 to 45 days to get money. So that's where we're coming up to where we think, okay, we're looking at a 3-month window that you get approved, or you go in and you wait, and so hopefully, you have some money to pay your rent and stipends to employees, those kinds of things.
Awesome. So just to clarify, nonprofits are eligible for just both this and your SBA disaster or recovery loan program? Right.
No, thanks. That's a good question. We cannot do as an organization, based on the money that we have, do nonprofits, because everything that we have comes as enterprise funding. So that makes the EIDL a lot different than any other SBA loan. Yeah. No, we can't do nonprofits for our bridge, but nonprofits are eligible for the EIDL loan.
Okay, and then when we hear about this new stimulus package, that's supposedly being voted on today, and they talk about $367 billion for small businesses, that's really going to these two programs that have already been initiated. This is just more funding to support that, or is this?
No, we've had a phase one, we've had a phase two, and there is some small business stuff in those two phases. This phase three is this is the big kahuna, so to speak, because this is where the agency, SBA, Treasury, all those agencies that are relevant to capital are going to get funded. And it's for large corporations, but there's a big carve out for small businesses, and for SBA. We're hopeful that they actually go finish up and start putting out. So they're talking about funding SSBCI again. They're talking about changing the 7A program to be able for banks to be able to lend more money. They're talking about 100% guarantee of small business loans impacted by the coronavirus, which to me, if they do that, that lets the banks have a bit of have a comfort level that, okay, let's open up the vaults and let's see what we can do for our customers and get them some money. So there's that. Department of Treasury, CDFI, Community Development Financial Institutions. They're talking about it, putting out a lot of money into organizations like us. So that's the one where it's important for small business in this economic disaster. And hopefully they get it done today or the next day, and SBA rolls out their new standard operating procedures, and we'll be on top of that to share it with our banking partners.
Okay, so right now the best way to apply is to go to your website, sbacsavannah.com, and apply for the disaster SBAC recovery loan program there. And at the same time, go and apply to the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, EIDL, at disasterloan.sba.gov. I have heard some rumors about that. People have told me don't use Chrome browser, which of course is the 66% of people use that,
it's
right? Do not use the Chrome browser.
SBA.
I heard try weird hours. Like if you're trying to do it during normal business hours, you're probably hitting everybody else that's doing it. And wake up really early, stay up really late is what some people have told me. Other people have said
those are good rumors.
It's 45 pages long and took up to 8 hours.
It took us 8 hours here at SBAC. We've had customers that it's taken an hour, and we've had customers that almost gave up. But it took us 8 hours, and we're a very, very complicated organization. When they ask you for, schedule of debt, well, we've got 75 pages of that. But so it took us 8 hours, and of course we were a little more savvy on this stuff. And the other thing is that if somebody doesn't have capability of uploading and those kinds of things, even though we're on appointment only and Dropbox for documents, we also will be helpful to people if they need to scan those kinds of things. So just having said that, but those rumors are good. If you're doing this at 2 in the afternoon, you're going to be crashed out. When they first started, they actually put out an advisory at SBA saying, if you start at midnight and you go to oh, I'm sorry, I thought I had that on mute. That they will from 6 to midnight. They recommend 6 to midnight. All right, we found that if you get in there around 7 o'clock, you can start working it. Now, of course, that was yesterday, so we don't know what it's like today.
Awesome, thank you. We have a question from Andrea. Andrea, thanks for asking a question. She says, what should small businesses do right now?
Well, from our perspective, they need to take a hard look inside. They need to see what their bootstrap capability is. They need to take a look at their human resources and who they need, what they need. They need to take a look at their org chart and see what they can squash down. They need to be aware of regulations as these things start to come out. There's going to be regulations around employers that and who you fire and how you get them on unemployment and those kinds of things, which is a whole other expertise. But they need to stay on top of that. They're going to multitask for a while, but first of all, they need to know their internal capabilities. They need to sit around. They need to get strategic about how they might be able to deliver their product to folks that are sheltered in place and or around the back door of being closed. You need to probably upgrade. You need to get tech savvy. You need to get tech savvy. I mean, we found ourselves a little short. We had our guy Samitsu come in here. So now I have the capability in the event that we are compelled to shut down, that I've got key employees with remote capability. All those things, it is a disaster. And then of course, keep yourself healthy. First and foremost, don't take too many risks in terms of trying to keep that revenue coming in. And then, once you have your strategic position and you're confident about where you are, then go after those loans that we've just talked about.
Thanks. I'm actually gonna try and find Michael Siegel here and unmute him. Michael's joined us. Michael is the head of SCORE Savannah. So Michael, I'd like you to chime in on this topic here that we just asked. What, from SCORE's perspective, what should small businesses be doing right now?
Yeah, thanks very much, Jen. Really appreciate it. We just want everybody to know that Savannah SCORE is still operating on all cylinders. We are still having our 45 mentors available to provide free business mentoring services, counseling services to small businesses, both new clients as well as existing clients. We're doing all of our sessions via video or phone. So we are complying with all of the guidelines, but we are still here. We're still here to help, and we hope folks will reach out to us. And you can find mentors at savannah.score.org.
Yeah, it's one of those resources that you just can't say enough about. And our SCORE chapter, everybody knows it's the best in the state, the region, and in the country. It's these guys and ladies just do a great job for everybody.
So, and not to toot our own horn, during this time right now, Creative Coast is really focused on this situation around tech. Our mission has been for 19 years to help technology-enabled businesses launch, scale, and grow in Savannah. And now more than ever, we are realizing that a lot of our businesses in Savannah were not ready for this. So you have to keep an eye on the creativecoast.org. We're doing webinars every week that hopefully will help people transition to more online activity. We've got a Shopify workshop coming up on Tuesday. So if you want to figure out how to build launch an e-commerce shop to sell the wares that are in your physical brick and mortar, we're going to teach that at noon on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So keep an eye on Creative Coast's website, get on our mailing list. We're doing 5 or so events a week to connect with entrepreneurs. Any other questions before I turn it? Actually, while you guys think of questions, I'm going to actually unmute Manny, who's with the city, and they have a bunch of resources as well. If I can find him, there he is, unmute. Manny, you're unmuted, so why don't you share those resources you wanted to share. Actually, wait, let me unpin the video. So there, now you should be able to share.
Great. So hopefully you can hear me. I am going to attempt to share my screen. Hopefully you see that. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. So what I wanted to talk about, thank you guys for putting this together, Jen and Tony. This is super helpful and really important information to get out. Just very briefly, I wanted to share the city's COVID response page. It's Savannah GA. The easiest way to get there is savannahga.gov/COVID-19. You don't need a dash or anything, just put COVID-19. And it'll take you to this page you're seeing right now. There's links for various resources, information about council, what within the city is closed and using alternate work schedules. Any recent news releases are on there. But I did want to cover a couple of quick things that we're getting a ton of questions about. First, similar to SCORE, we are operating at all cylinders. The city's business resources and with very, very few exceptions, the city's resources in general are still available to the public as they have in the past. We have had to make some small changes to keep everyone safe. As an example, in our office at the Savannah Entrepreneurial Center, we are by appointment only, and we are trying to do as much as humanly possible outside of, outside of through either phone or email as much as possible. All of our classes have moved online, so if you are registered for a class with us, you will get information about that. But again, all resources are still available to the public. We have drop boxes, just like SBAC, outside the building for folks to drop off applications, and obviously we accept stuff online. What else? We've gotten a lot of questions about this declaration, the shelter-in-place declaration from the mayor. I think it was yesterday. Everything's kind of running into each other. Went into effect this morning or late last night. If you have any questions related to that, you can either call 311, or if you have specific business-related questions, you can call us directly at 912-652-3582, and I'll put that in the chat so you have that information. Specifically, we've gotten a lot of questions about what is considered an essential business. If you click on the declaration, and hopefully you can still see that, there is a section that lists all the essential businesses, but we have been getting questions about some gray areas. Car dealerships that have repair shops in them, are they all exempt or only the repair shops? The answer to that is only the repair shop. But we have been getting those kinds of questions. Give us a call if you have specifics about your business, and we'll try to answer those. We are collecting the ones that we need more clarification on and getting back to folks within that same day or as quickly as possible. Any other general questions? 311 is your resource. The last thing I want to say is we are encouraging folks to support small businesses as much as possible. It is going to be a very difficult time for small businesses in Savannah across the board. We, like many cities, are encouraging folks to support their local restaurants by ordering takeout or pickup whenever possible, practicing social distancing, obviously, as much as humanly possible. Even things like rating some of your local restaurants and small businesses, giving them positive reviews online is helpful. Engaging with them online on social media. Buying gift cards is a good way to support local small businesses to get past this, hopefully, short blip in their business. And shop online when possible. And yeah, just sort of being as engaged as you can while practicing good social distancing habits. And that is all I have for now. I did want to point out one more resource, and I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but it is if you go to diningatadistance.com/Savannah, it's a good resource of it has an ability for restaurants and food service businesses to enter in whether they're accepting delivery, takeout, contact information and all of that. There are currently 42 restaurants in Savannah that have signed up. We're encouraging folks to use that tool. This is a nationwide tool that was set up just in March, just a couple of days ago, that is being used as sort of a best practice nationwide. It's a good resource for folks that want to support local small businesses. And that's it.
Awesome, thanks. Manny, we did get a question that maybe you know the answer to. Is there a curfew in effect for Chatham County?
Not that unless something happened in the last few minutes, no.
Okay.
Unless someone has other information otherwise. I can speak to the city, and no, there is not a curfew.
I couldn't hear you. Were you talking to me?
Muted, so I'm talking, but
there we go. There we go.
So does anybody have any questions for any of us? I've got Manny from the city, Michael from SCORE, Tony from SBAC, and me online available to take questions. If you do, please type them in the chat so that I can read them to the appropriate person. In the meantime, we want to talk a little bit about mental issues, right? Stay positive. I know everyone's afraid. This is going to be hard, but we are entrepreneurs. And this is when we come together and make magic happen. Entrepreneurs are already coming together to get us out of this problem. I don't know if you saw it, but like 9 Live Lines is changing from making t-shirts to making masks. There's all sorts of cool things going on right now. Entrepreneurs in our community are really, really stepping up to support both the community at large, people like Henny Penny. And I saw Kathleen on here earlier. She runs a shop out in Bluffton. They're putting together to-go kits to keep kids busy while they're in school, while they're out of school for self-learning at home. So all sorts of things going on with our entrepreneurs stepping up to help both families in the community, but also our country. So any questions?
May I make a quick statement, Jen? We've been talking to a lot of small businesses, and understandably, the owners are feeling really scared and really stressed. And one of the things, the messages we're really trying to communicate to people is that during this time, it's really helpful if you think creatively about your business and how you can do things a little differently. Be flexible in your thinking. Try to stay as positive as you can. Know that there's a lot of help available out here, and reach out for help. And I know we will all get through this. It's who knows when, but working together like this, I think we can help a lot.
Awesome, thank you. Manny shared the contact information for the Savannah Entrepreneurial Center. If there's no other questions, I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Manny, for joining me on this chat. We will actually turn this into a video. It will be up at thecreativecoast.org later today, along with some resources. We are doing a coffee chat tomorrow at 10 a.m. So any entrepreneurs that want to get online via Zoom, it's going to be totally open and just talk about what's going on. We will be online tomorrow at 10 a.m. And watch out for our workshops. We have moved all online. We're producing content for workshops to help people become more tech-enabled entrepreneurs. We're also trying to share good news, so you can go to creativecoast.org/#goodnews and see stories about companies that are doing cool things to support our community and our country in this crisis. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Be creative. Thank you.